Todd.
Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, August 14th, 2023. We'll now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, would you take the roll call, please?
Councilman Beatty.
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Here.
Councilman Ellis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ickes.
Here.
Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Pacifico.
Here. Prior to getting into public comment, I have an announcement to make. Councilman Joe Carper submitted his resignation for City Council. So we will be taking talent bank applications for somebody to fill the remainder of that term, which expires the first Monday in January of this year. We'll open the floor for public comment now. If anybody would like to address council, come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to start by introducing myself to folks that may not know what I'm about. My name is Jordan, and I am an ecological landscaper in Blair County, and I'm a contractor for the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources with Pennsylvania, where I convert lawns into native perennial meadows and also food forests of native plants. And it's free for landowners that have at least a quarter acre. And so far this year, we've done 15 acres of ecology restoration in Pennsylvania. And it's our first year, so it's been a good one so far. I come today to talk about the Wildlife Crossing Pilot Program. It was a grant given up to the state through Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT. It's expired as of August 1st. It started on April 6th. And I was thinking that it would be a great opportunity to apply maybe for the next funding round, as this was the first one. And that could help with the Greenway, the proposed Greenway project. I'll show the map here. Right here, that was made in 2005. And an animal bridge looks something like this. And it would be for bicyclists, hikers, and animals to cross. And I thought for the Greenway Bicycle Trail that it would be good to either connect Altoona and Hollidaysburg over I-99, which would be really cool to see people, whenever people are on the highway passing, to go underneath this wildlife bridge and enhance the bicycle trail. And then also over 36 from NatureWorks Park in Hollidaysburg to Chimney Rocks. This is just me dreaming and imagining, but it's something that's real, and there's a lot of grant money towards it, so maybe we could apply for that. And I'm just asking for direction on where should I talk to the planning department about that, or come here and talk more with the mayor. And then also I would like to say that the Altoona Bible Church agreed to allow me and my team to develop a community food forest on the 3 acres of woodlands along Mill Run to the right of their big parking lot by the cliffs in Tuckahoe. And we're going to get started with that this year, and I'm hoping for it to be a representation of what we could do maybe at different places. I know that you were saying about grant money at Garfield Park, correct? That that you got a couple years ago, maybe. And I was just wondering if I could be a part of the trails for the greenway there, or planting native edible shrubs and trees, and putting up signs as an educational way to enhance the park. And I also wanted to say one more thing about the idea of community gardens in empty vacant lots around town. Specifically, there's one where 2 of my friends live by. I don't know if it's for sale or what's going on with it, but ever since I was young, it's been vacant. It's like a house that's been torn down and only gets mowed once a year. It's 1713 21st Avenue on the corner of Washington Avenue and 21st Avenue nearby. And there's a big garage, and there's steps up to it. My friends live right by it, and just inquiring, maybe it could be potentially be a community garden. Maybe the owner doesn't want to, or doesn't want to sell it, but I'm willing to. I'm volunteering my time to do the community garden at Altoona Bible Church, because it doesn't apply for grants, but I hope to put in these gardens in vacant city lots. And I know that there's some vacant city lots that are for sale for cheap, and I would be willing to bid on them and buy them to put in community gardens, and hopefully get grants for that, working with the Blair Conservation District or Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful or something, and then having more jobs for my business to create ecological landscaping where we weed out and we plant food instead of just mowing grass. Thank you.
Hey, for the vacant lots,
Yeah.
that would be something you may want to go to the county,
Okay.
because they come up for bid sometimes through the repository or through county means. And so,
Okay.
you know, some of these where people aren't paying their taxes or things of that nature, you may be able to get one for a pretty good price.
I would love that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I gotta go. My dog's in the truck, but he's pretty wet. But thank you for your time. I'll see you next month, hopefully, and love to talk more. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Walt McCullough. I'm resident of Altoona, 913 25th Avenue. I wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about something I'm observing lately, and that's the dangerous parking that's occurring in the city of Altoona. You don't have to look far from City Hall. All you have to do is go down 13th Avenue and 11th Street. The residents have removed the no parking signs. They're parking in the street. I'm driving here tonight. I come around the corner on 11th Street. It's one lane, and there's an Amtrak bus. It backs up traffic on 11th Street. Not only do we have problems there, there's hundreds of cars in this city parked facing the wrong direction. Look at the code for the city of Altoona in parking. The right wheels have to be against the curb, no more than 12 inches, not the left side. I can't tell you how many times driving down the city street, somebody just pulls out of nowhere. They can't see me. They're parked driver's side in, they pull right out in front of you. We've got people parking on sidewalks. Kids are riding their bikes down sidewalks. They come right out in the street in front of you to go around the parked cars. We've got dumpsters sitting on the city streets. Read the code. No dumpster can be set on a city street. It's right in the code. The dumpsters are too wide. You can't go down Broad Avenue without having a dumpster and having to come almost to a stop so you can get around that, or you're going to hit it. There's no cones. There's no reflectors on these dumpsters. It's becoming very dangerous driving in the city of Altoona. The codes are here. I call the parking authority. Parking authority says it's not us. Call the city police. I go down to the police department. Police department says we can't enforce it unless city council says to enforce it. I'm here. We got to do something about the parking in this town. Drive home and pay attention. If you don't see at least 5 or 6 vehicles pointed in the wrong direction, you're not paying attention. They're everywhere. In an 8-hour day, I guarantee you can write 100 citations. Guaranteed. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'm asking, do something about the parking in this city. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Walt, I had the same experience when I come down 11th Street. I turned and there were 2 Amtrak buses coming, and it just backed the traffic up to 13th
It's
Street,
terrible.
or to 12th Street.
And Ron, I know you with your big trucks, the one thing that I forgot to mention, the parking is all the way out to the corners of the intersections. You
Yeah.
can't make turns. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter if there's a fire hydrant, handicap access, all the cars are parked out to the corners. You can't get around. If you're towing a trailer or you have a big truck like you do, Ron, you can't make the turns. So thank you.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks for coming in, Walt.
Ed Cruz, 1830 North 4th Avenue, Juniata. Just to touch on what he said, even over in front of the magistrate's office, all the official people park going the wrong way too. They're not parked correctly. So my alley's washed out again, Nate, if you can take care of that. My other thing is, you all read the email from Nate about that storm drain on my property that was plugged up, and he said when they have time, they would get to it. So I notified Mr. Helsel, who owns Tyler Hall, that if his building happened to be flooded in the meantime, that the city wasn't very concerned about that storm drain. So just so you know that. I have a question for the solicitor. Where does the right-of-way start? Is that right at my property line? From there out is the right-of-way? Yeah. And is that available for anybody to see? I mean, is it, I can go on the website and see it, or is it? Okay, because that property that I'm talking about, that I reported to Rebecca, she said that they're not required, it's only line of sight. But I know this guy's property is past his property line. Also, you're not allowed to have a higher than a 7-foot fence along the side of your property line. This guy has a forest and you can't see to pull out. She said she drove down there and she can see to pull out. You have to pull clear up to the intersection to pull out. If I am only allowed to build out to my property line or have a fence to my property line, he should not be allowed to have shrubs and trees past his property line. Because to me, that's in the right of way, but I will stop out and I will get down and measure that. My other question is, why does the fire chief vehicle not have to be lettered? Is that a new thing? I know Rennie Santones was all lettered up, said fire chief, everybody knew who was coming. So I'm just wondering why we don't do that anymore. I understand with the police, it's a little different, but that being said, I've heard that the police have been seen buying beer in an unmarked car. Joe Weekland has been had bought beer in an unmarked car. So that's what I've been told anyhow. So I don't know why, not that he's done any of that. By no means am I saying that. I just think that his vehicle should be lettered and say fire chief on it. Overhangs on property, are they legal? Are you allowed past your property line with a roof, like an overhang on 4th Avenue in Juniata? All those buildings have overhangs. Are you allowed past your property line with an overhang? You don't have to answer. I mean, you can send me an email too.
I mean, are you talking about the new construction?
Well, new
On the corner?
construction, like, yeah, the new construction there, and basically the whole way on 4th Avenue, they all have overhangs off their property out towards the sidewalk. Are you allowed to have an overhang past your property line?
That would depend on when they built that overhang, and what zoning code allowed that. Zoning's changed quite a bit over the years, so I would have to go back through and research when each of those were built along North 4th Avenue.
Okay, I'll send you an email on that. And then the other question I have is stormwater management. There's a property in Juniata that just completely blacktopped their complete property without any stormwater management. Is there rules for that? A distance, how big it has to be? Okay, so I'll send you that that address too. I mean, I've sent it out to council members. That's all. Thanks.
Joseph Zona, resident of the city of Altoona, 5815 Oak Avenue. I'm the president of the Central Pennsylvania Humane Society, and I come here this evening because we've had a major issue stemming from the city. Our overpopulation within the shelter has caused a great difficulty of not just financial burden, but stress on our employees and everything else. Right now, as of today, we've taken in a total of 482 cats and dogs. Of that 482, 52% of those come from the city of Altoona. We come here this evening to address another issue. Our humane officer, who has always made himself available to handle any difficult situations, sometimes even dangerous, has been called to the city lately for a rabies issue going on within the city. If you guys aren't aware of this, we've had to actually take these animals in, do what's necessary overnight. Part of it, if anybody knows the rabies process, is quite gruesome, to be quite honest with you. We've even had to do it with some wildlife here locally within the city. Your dog law officer was actually who brought us in on that instance. The cost for that is significant because of what has to happen. And when it comes to the wildlife, we are not licensed to euthanize wildlife. We have to bring in a specialist, and we're absorbing that cost. We're a nonprofit, and our only means of revenue generation is through donations and through events that we put on throughout the year. And due to the current employment situation, we've had to raise wages in order to get people in there to even work with us, plus finding people who are compassionate enough and wanting to do that job with us. I'm fortunate to have a great board of directors, one of them here with me, this Dan McDermott. Unfortunately, some of the others are not from the area or just had other obligations. They couldn't be here, but believe me, we all wanted to show up today. We see the stress that it causes our staff. I had to go in there Thursday and console a majority of them, just in tears. We've got dogs coming in. We had a dog that was left over the fence by law enforcement. The dog had a heat stroke out in the field. Nobody notified us. Not one officer called and left a message. Our voicemails are checked routinely. If we don't know that the dog is there, we can't make it there to save the dog, to get him in the shelter. Currently, we have signs up now that state that they are not allowed to drop off any animals whatsoever because we are at max capacity. We're working hard to find a new location so that we can build on it and expand. But the way it's all these intakes, every animal that we take in is a $30 fee right off the top. We have to vaccinate them, we have to treat them for fleas, we have to check them for any disease or anything of that nature and deworm them. That's state regulation, and we can't get around that. Otherwise, they'll come in and shut us down. And believe me, I don't think you guys want all those wild animals running around, and I know every other facility here locally is just absolutely packed to the max. Currently, we bill other townships for taking in animals, Logan Township being one of them. When we receive any of these animals in, when the police bring them in, we do bill them for this. There was an agreement in place at one point with the city of Altoona, which we were not permitted to bill you. That agreement has since expired. If I have to, we're going to have to go that route because I can't keep absorbing this cost. We just don't have the funds and the means of doing this. We have, as I said, exceeded space. We're burned out. We've got dogs in places down there. We have 102 dogs. Our facility is only able to handle 48. That's it. We've got dogs in rooms that they shouldn't be in. I've actually taken dogs into my home here when your local officer isn't able to house them or put them somewhere. Like right now, we just can't keep them anywhere. I would love to work with the city council, a couple of our board members to come up with a solution for this, whether it be through a registration type of a program or pre-permitting, something along those lines, anything that we could do to try and alleviate some of this. Something to implement maybe further. I know licensing is a big thing with the dogs. Perhaps require some sort of a chip as well. I know that's sort of now required for lifetime licensing, but it's not due for the annual licensing that they have. The problem is we get a lot of intakes. we can't find out where they go, who they belong to. We had a post recently where somebody tied a beautiful dog up to an electrical fence thing surrounding one of the electrical units in the city of Altoona. Luckily, our vet tech happened to be driving by and saw the dog tied out, and that was one of the hottest days we've had here. It was left with a bowl of food, it's food bowls, a bag of food, and some toys, and that was it. Luckily, we had an overwhelming cry out to help us with that dog, because that's one of the few exceptions, though, because some of these that come in are less than acceptable to put back out there, but we do everything we can to rehab them. And I just really appreciate some help from you guys. If you can come up with something, please let your law enforcement know to notify us. Call the shelter, leave a message if they bring something in there, so that we can get there in time and get them in. I thank you all for your time.
Hey, you guys are doing great work down there.
Thank
and
you.
Would you be willing to, share a little bit of who people can make a check out to make a donation to you? And
Yes.
since you're here, may as well, take advantage of that, because
Yeah,
it's certainly a worthy cause.
So they can make checks out to Central Pennsylvania Humane Society. They can stop by, drop those checks off to the main office down there in Bellwood. They can also, probably the best thing anybody could possibly do is, if anybody has the ability to foster a dog, we provide everything for those. We provide the food, we provide whatever is needed, all the medications, anything that is needed during that foster program, just to have them out of the shelter. Problem is, when we have so many dogs in there, they start to become aggressive. You put 50 dogs back to back in kennels that are built to only have one dog inside of them. Dogs are fighting at each other through the walls. And that's the aggression issues start to come about there. If they haven't already had aggression issues when we come in, because we do get some that have been either biters or whatever has gone on, and we will rehab them as much as we possibly can. We can't always guarantee 100% rehab, but the staff down there is just amazing, and they will do everything possible to make it work.
Joe, can they make donations online at your website?
I believe there's, so we have Venmo and PayPal, I believe now is up and running. We had to go through our 501c3 stuff and the banking things to get that all possible, but yeah.
It's possible that
Website
way.
is possible that way as well now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and we take, food donations, things like that, of course. It's just the biggest bill that's really hurting us is that $30. I mean, take $30 times it by, we had a total of 482 strays last year, to give an idea. So $30 times that, plus the staffing needs. I mean, our staff have to go in there. They're going in at 8 a.m. to clean all the stalls out, take the dogs outside, get them back in. They got to do the same thing over again in the evening. They come in there, they have to walk the dogs outside, put them in the kennels, or just walk them around to get them exercise, get some of their energy out. That way they're not in there pen up all day long like that. Yeah, same thing with the cats, same deal with the cats. We get those guys in. We still have to go through the same procedure. And right now, it's kitten season. Everybody's bringing in cats and dumping them off to us and by the litterfuls. I mean, mom and the litter of babies in there. And, I don't know if there's, I don't know what the laws are from your side of things. If there's something that could be done from that standpoint, even within the cats, that would be quite helpful as well, just to get that number down in there. So something to consider.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you all, council members.
Devin Saylor, 424 Crawford Avenue. I just had a quick question just about the adoption for today. What definitions specifically in 690 are changing? Yes, yeah.
Okay, if you look at what's attached to the, to this, we basically have put in a definition section on here. Okay?
Gotcha. Well, I guess more so what I was, because it doesn't really specify, I don't think this specifies exactly what is changing. That's what I mean, like the definition.
Well, we talked about this when it was introduced. What it is this ordinance had not been touched in 50 years. And quite frankly, it was out of date because it was before the PUC. There's a lot of things that were utility regulated utilities back in the 70s, which we don't regulate anymore because that's subject to the PUC. And this is to basically deal with the creation of telecommunications and fiber optic and things of that nature.
All right, cool. That's it. I mean,
That's pretty much, basically it's to bring our utility ordinance into the 21st century.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's it. I just saw. I wasn't here for the last meeting, unfortunately, so I was just curious what that definition change was. But,
Yep.
all right, thanks, guys.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Autumn. I live in North Altoona, 4th Avenue. I wasn't planning on saying anything about the ordinance, but I certainly hope it's not being adopted to mock anything like the Water Authority, because that doesn't work for landlords. So anyhow, I'm here today for good things. I want to thank Mayor Pacifico and the team here for really investing in the prospect pool and, you know, keeping that as a resource in our community. I was one of those kids that grew up in the area. I was on 2nd Avenue, 19th Street growing up, so that became like the place that we hung in the summer whenever we were adolescents, and honestly, it kept us off the streets. I grew up poor, so I got the benefit of getting a free family membership from the Rec Commission at the time. So that was the entertainment that my family could afford. But anyhow, investing in our community is not going to be cheap or easy. However, the dividends can be seen in the years to come. Research done by the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency proves that when there are pro-social activities, including organized community activities and opportunities for youth employment, volunteering, and opportunities for family engagement in the community, delinquency, drugs, and crime are seen to decrease. So Prospect Pool is going to provide this opportunity. You know, it's providing families for opportunities for engagement that is affordable. It's providing youth employment. Your volunteerism, that's connected to the community connectiveness. It decreases vandalism, things like that. So some of those things that you guys were doing early on really contributed to respect of citizens of that pool. I took my grandkids there this summer, and when I said I was taking my kids to the pool, my kid, who's a correction officer, is like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm taking them to the pool. It's a nice place." And although he refused to come in to pick up his children at the end of the day, I convinced his mother, the children's mother, to pick the children up at the end of the day. And so she got to enter the pool and see the environment and see how family friendly and nice it was. So then she started to take those kids to the pool. Those kids live 2 blocks from the pool. The oldest one is 9 and had not ever attended that pool because of, you know, the things that have happened in the past and people's opinion of that. In addition to the pleasure of seeing my grandchildren enjoy the pool, and I also got to spend time with them there, it was also satisfying to see the Altoona City commit to the youth. Well, at the pool, I had the opportunity to speak to many of the workers, the front workers, the lifeguards, all of those. And the value of that employment went beyond any price of their paycheck. There was, you know, I don't know what they were making, but I can tell you that what they earned out of that experience, it was much more valuable to them than what they were getting paid by the hour. So I encourage you all to keep focused on the outcomes, continue to support Prospect Pool in that neighborhood. I strongly suggest that when you're looking at the bottom line of the pool, I'm pretty sure it won't look pretty. I saw the attendance. And see the impact on the budget, that you also each commit to looking at the impact on the community. I encourage you to create a fundraising committee composed of people in the city of Altoona, maybe some of those neighborhood people, patrons of the pool, community or businesses that are committed to pro-social activities or positive activities in the community, and just continue to invest in that. And if you do create that committee, I would be interested in volunteering with it. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
If there's no more public comment, we will close the floor and move into the resolutions.
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Monday, July 10th, 2023. Item B is authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding for the Federal Justice Assistance Grant Funds with Blair County and for the city clerk to attest to same, and further authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary certifications required to submit the application. Item C is amending the 2019 CDBG program, transferring $1,803.05 from the COVID-19 Blair County Community Action Support Program to the Blair County Community Action Rental Assist Program. Item D is approving a repository bid in the amount of $600 submitted by the Redevelopment Authority of Altoona of 1301 12th Street for property located at 1817 to 19 8th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute taxing district form. Item E is approving a repository bid in the amount of $600 submitted by the Redevelopment Authority of Altoona for property located at 710 19th Street, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item F is approving a repository bid in the amount of $250 submitted by William Mensch, Jr. of 524 Bell Avenue for property located at 522 Bell Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item G is approving a repository bid in the amount of $25 submitted by Randy Folkler of 1918 Fifth Avenue for property located at 327 to 29 Wapsononic Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item H is approving a repository bid in the amount of $25 submitted by Randy Folkler of 1918 Fifth Avenue for property located at 331 to 33 Wapsononic Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item I is approving a repository bid in the amount of $25 submitted by Randy Folkler for property located at 208 to 10 East Cherry Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item J is approving a repository bid in the amount of $25 submitted by Randy Folkler for property located at 417 to 19 South 8th Street, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item K is approving a repository bid in the amount of $100 submitted by Brittany Padelco of 1810 10th Street for property located at 1806 10th Street, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item L is approving a repository bid in the amount of $300 submitted by Merle Morse of 613 Broadway Street, Myersdale for property located at 1814 11th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item M is approving a repository bid in the amount of $300 submitted by Merle Morse for property located at 2024 Fifth Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item N is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Donna Sabalis of 1815 8th Avenue for property located at 710 19th Street, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item O is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Donna Sabalis for property located at 1817 to 19 8th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item P is approving a repository bid in the amount of $50 submitted by Randy Folkler of 1918 Fifth Avenue for property located at 522 Bell Avenue, further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item Q is approving a repository bid in the amount of $700 submitted by D.O. Ramkissoon of Albany, New York for property located 1817 to 19 8th Avenue, further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item R is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Taisha Hill of Jacksonville, Florida for property located at 1521 to 23 20th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item S is approving a repository bid in the amount of $100 submitted by Stephen Diamontides of Tarpon Springs, Florida, for property located at 1531 3rd Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 227 East 5th Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 3318 6th Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 312 Howard Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 1118 17th Avenue and in the amount of $100 for property located at 1120 17th Avenue, and further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district form. Are there any items that need to be either deleted or pulled for separate vote, tabled?
Yeah, I'd like to propose we table L and M to the next meeting, so I get a chance to discuss with Mr. Morse. I did leave a message with him. And I'd also like to pull then for separate vote N through S.
Dave, if it was all right with you, I really think we had to pull everything but the RA ones and just get a better idea of what they are and what, if they're side yards or what they are.
I do know the Mensch property's a side yard.
Yeah, that one is, okay. So the RA and the mensch, I think it's the first three.
I think the other one is too.
We can't see.
The N, O, and Q are repository bids for properties that the RA's bidding on.
Right.
So if council approves the RA bids, then, then to reject those other ones, go for the same property.
Oh, okay, so they. Oh, okay.
So here's the first thing, if there's particular items you're gonna table, there should be a specific motion to table those specific items, seconded, then the council would vote on tabling those items. And then you can proceed with the things you're going to approve. If there's other things you wanna pull for separate vote, you can do those individually after.
So we're good for A through
E. No, F.
A through F. We wish to propose to table G through M and then pull the rest for separate vote. N,
After M through S. M is in Mary.
yes,
So do I have to read all of those again?
yes.
Okay, so there's a motion to table items G through M, as in Mary, correct?
Is that,
the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Bruce, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, you wanna call for a vote to table
Okay,
G through M?
G through M? Okay, we have a motion to table items G through M by Councilman Kelly and a second by Councilman Butterball. Call for the vote. Councilman Beatty.
Hold
Wait,
on, hold on.
Diana has.
One other thing I do, because I just had this, I don't have my paper, so I'm looking at the paper agenda. I do also know the Padelco is the next door neighbor side lot. That's item K.
So leave K in.
So it'll be G through J.
G, H, I, J, and M.
L.
L and M.
L and M. So a motion to table G through J, L, and M by Councilman Kelly and a second by Councilman Butterball. Let me mark this one down here. This one right here is a vote. Okay. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterball.
Yes.
Councilman Ellis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 6-0 to table. Then we have, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Do the approval, it's A
Oh,
through
A through F,
and
yeah.
K, and K.
Okay, so we have a consent vote for items A through F and item K. And I'll call the vote for that. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterball,
Yes.
Councilman Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ickes, excuse me, Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico,
Yes.
And the consent vote passes 6-0. Okay, and I'm gonna read items M,
N as in Nancy, yeah.
oh wait, N was a table, N through S.
Yeah.
N through S. I'm gonna read those individually. And then call for a vote. These are, I don't need a motion for this as well.
No, this is voting on.
This is just
You're gonna
voting.
vote on that.
They're gonna vote now. Okay, so this is a consent, not a consent vote. It's a separate vote.
Pull for separate vote, each one
Okay.
from us.
All right, I'll read them all individually. Item N is approving a repository bid in the amount of, let me find this on here so you guys can follow. In the amount of $500 submitted by Donna Sabalis for property located at 710 19th Street. Item O is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Donna Sabalis for property located at 1817 to 19 8th Avenue. Item P is approving a repository bid in the amount of $50 submitted by Randy Folkler for property located at 522 Bell Avenue. Item Q is a repository bid in the amount of $700 submitted by Dio Ramkasoon of Albany, New York for property located at 1817 to 19 8th Avenue. Item R is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Taishe Hill for property located at 1521 to 23 20th Avenue. And item S is a repository bid in the amount of $100 submitted by Stephen Diamontides of Tarpon Springs, Florida for property located at 1511 3rd Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 227 East 5th Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 3318 6th Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 312 Howard Avenue in the amount of $100 for property located at 1118 17th Avenue and in the amount of $100 for property located at 1120 17th Avenue, and all are further authorizing the city manager to execute the taxing district forms. Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilman Ellis,
No.
Vice Mayor Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
and Mayor Pacifico.
No.
The vote does not pass. Did I get them all? I think. Hope so. Next, we have an ordinance on the agenda for introduction. It is an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of 7.5 feet of an unnamed and unopened alley on the south side of North 20th Street between North 7th Avenue and North 7th and a half Avenue, and 25 feet of unopened North 7 and a half Avenue pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the Altoona City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed to William C. Mallory and Kimberly R. Mallory and any accompanying documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest in the city of Altoona has or may have had in said unopened roadways, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and provide an effective date. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So
We
moved.
tabled this last month
Yeah,
based on some concerns.
it was a
Have they
different
been-
person, a different
been vetted?
Mallory. This was a different Mallory than, right, Rebecca?
Okay.
Different Mallory than this Mallory that
Okay.
you were questioning. Is there a council member willing to introduce this
I'll
ordinance?
move to approve.
This ordinance was introduced by Councilman Ellis. The second ordinance for adoption was introduced by Mayor Pacifico, and it's an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which amends Chapter 690 Utilities of the City Code to provide updated definitions, procedures, standards, and fees with respect to the placement and installation of assets and facilities within any City of Altoona rights-of-way, to provide a repealer, savings clause, and an effective date. Is there a motion for adoption?
I'll make that motion.
A second. This was moved for adoption by Councilman Beatty and seconded by Mayor Pacifico. And I will call for the vote. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilman Ellis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
and Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 6-0. And now we have another resolution, which is amending and restating the 2023 fee resolution 0132-22, adding the utilities section in fees as a result of the adoption of the utilities ordinance number 5807, adopted August 14, 2023. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilman Ellis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
and Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the vote passes 6-0.
Omar, city manager updates?
Mayor and council members, just a few items to bring you up to speed on. In late July, the mayor, Councilman Ellis, members of staff, and I met with Senator Ward to discuss the status of the flood mitigation along Rush Run. I just wanted y'all to know that. There's nothing that has come out of that meeting so far, but if there is, we will keep you informed. Working with the parking authority, Public Works Director Kissel and staff members did a parking lot assessment for all the parking lots that the city owns that are managed by the parking authority. Some of those need to have some serious upgrades, others just minimal upgrades. Just want to let you know that I intend to put these items into the capital improvement program and into specifically upgrades to be made, most of them at least, in next year's capital budget in 2024. So we can talk about that when we get to that point. And just a reminder that at the next council meeting, representatives from CZB, who are putting together the city's updated comprehensive plan, will be on site here to make a presentation to council about their progress on that plan. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Omar. All right, we'll move into council discussion items. Councilman Kelly?
I have nothing to offer tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Butterball?
Nothing, thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Ickes?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Councilman Ellis?
I just want to follow up on what Autumn talked about with Prospect Pole. I thought it was a great team effort by staff, both within City Hall staff and the staff at the pole. There's consistently a nice crowd there, a well-behaved crowd, contrary to past allegations, but it was a very well-behaved group and became a very family-friendly place this year.
I concur. Councilman Beatty?
And to expand on what Councilman Ellis said, you know, I wanted to thank all the employees, the security people, the Altoona Police, Nate Kissel, Omar, Kim, all the people that put, a lot of work into the pool. I think you did a great job running it. I think there's a lot of support for the pool, and I think we can use this year to learn operating costs and anything that we need to know going forward. I really think it would be worthwhile to set up a foundation or a sponsorship program to help cover some of the costs up there. I think it's well used. I think it's well liked. And I think with the upgraded security and everything that we put in place this year, that it was a good season. And I appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with what you both said and what you said, Autumn, as well. I was up there yesterday just to see how things were going since it was the last day. And one of the things I commented to the staff up there was the fact that we got through this year without any major incidents up there. And I think if you look at the crowd that was at the pool, it really reflects that, because there was way more families up there enjoying the pool than you've seen in years past. So I think that we're on the right track with some of the things that we've improved up there for this year. Seeing how there's no media here tonight, I guess we will adjourn. Oh, sure.
That's like mine. I'm still working. I live out in Pine Avenue.
Come on up.
I'm just curious. I drive a little jitney around town. What's the future plans of doing roads? I mean, where I live, they did every alley. They paved an alley. It hasn't been. I've lived there 45 years, never paved. And then do my alley. But what's the plans in the future, budget-wise, to do some of these roads?
Nate, you want
Is it
to
in
take that
like
one?
5, 10 years down
Sir,
the road?
could I have
or-
your name and address, please? Sir,
Pardon?
could I please have your name and address?
Oh, Randy Cornelius, 2922 Pine Avenue.
Randy
Cornelius.
Cornelius. Okay, thank you.
I'm not moaning and groaning. I just asked if it ever gonna come up. I know they dig up the roads a lot.
Somewhere on 49.
So our program every year is kind of based upon funding that's allotted to us by council in Public
do
Works.
alleys.
So
You
every
go down
year,
12th
every
Avenue.
year we go through a process where we kind of rate the roads and we give them sort of a grade. And then, so this past year,
You rated alleys.
correct. So this past year, we got to a place in the department that because of the deplorable conditions of the alleys that, we really have and the lack of maintenance on alleys, we kind of always have emphasized the roads. And last year we got to a point where we said, hey, we could probably get some alleys paved here this year. So the alley program was the same type of program where
didn't get
they
lined
went
up.
through and like kind of rated the
No, I was
alleys.
just curious. I'm
And
not
then
a
picked the
road
worst
owner,
one.
but-
So, in future years,
The
we're
roads.
hoping to continue along with roads and also add alleys at the same time. We just got to a place where we thought, well, the roads are holding up pretty good that we kind of gave the alleys a shot in the arm, so.
What's
the-
another thing, what's the codes or city on landlords taking care of properties? Is it on the tenants, renters?
Oh, sir, that's dependent on what type of violation it is. If it's interior conditions, that's most likely on the,
Exteriors,
I'm sorry?
exteriors.
That would be up to the property owners.
Why couldn't you require them to have some type of, this guy, I'm not mentioning his name, that bought the properties, but you think they would have some type of little maintenance outfit, that goes around? You know what I mean? I have to actually go over, you're talking, I called codes once. I'm 70, I don't want to be the old man in the neighborhood, I lived there that long. I was just curious, the neighborhood's going down because of.
Sir,
we got-
after the meeting, maybe you could provide the address and we can have
I'm
that.
not getting it, I'm not trying to pinpoint anybody, I'm just curious.
Well, we can't look into it if we don't know the
Well,
house.
what's the, where I live out down in Allegheny, sub pumps going into streets. I was told by codes it was illegal. But in other words, it was too much hassle to correct. It was down at, if you go down Allegheny and there's Spruce Avenue, and this guy pumps water out, and you go down there in the wintertime, okay? You better have some treads on, and the city come over and threw salt on it. That's all. I just want to know in the plans of the roads, man. Because you see the city just, you get all these people that owe tax money, and the city's just going to, in my words, shit. The roads, and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've lived there all my life. You might be giggling about it, but you gotta allow with all this COVID crap, money and stuff you're putting into. I know there people are getting raises, but you got to put some into the roads. You get out, drive your car down. They have these $50,000 trucks out here. You think I'd drive a $50,000 truck down 12th Avenue without, you know what I mean? Would you?
All right,
do.
all right, sir, your 5 minutes is up.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
out here. I'm going home to take a shower.
All right.